On the news, death toll from Plateau killings hits 13 as victims' families demand compensation. Nigeria's Chief of Naval Staff visits Borno State, reaffirms commitment to end insurgency. His tenure as ECOWAS chairman calls for standby force activation. Many thanks for joining News Now on TV360 Nigeria. I'm Simisola Atiku. We kick off in Plateau State, where the death toll of Friday's attack on wedding travelers at Mangon community in Mangu local government area has risen to 13. The bodies of the four travelers earlier declared missing were set to be recovered on Sunday, while one of those injured has also been confirmed dead. The victims, comprising 32 men, women and children, were traveling to attend a wedding ceremony in an 18-seater bus belonging to the Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, from Basawa community, Kaduna State, when they ran into the assailant around 8 p.m. The attackers also reportedly set ablaze the bus conveying them. Families of the victims have demanded compensation over the killings of their loved ones. And President Bola Tinubu has officially concluded his tenure as chairperson of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government. The handover took place at the 67th Ordinary Session held at the Aso Rock Presidential Villa in Abuja, where Sierra Leone's President Julius Maada Bio was named or has been named his successor. In his address to delegates, Tinubu highlighted key achievements from his tenure and offered recommendations to strengthen the regional bloc moving forward. TV360's Victoria Konde completes the report.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was first elected chairman of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, on July 9, 2023 in Guinea-Bissau, and re-elected for a second term on July 7, 2024 during a summit in Abuja. During the handover ceremony at the 67th Ordinary Session held at the Aso Rock Presidential Villa, President Tinubu conveyed his deep appreciation for the confidence placed in him over the course of his two-term tenure.
I am pleased to note that under my stewardship as the chair of authority, the ECOWAS Military Logistic Depot in Lungui, Sierra Leone, has been completed. The depot will play a critical role in providing equipment and other logistics to forces deployed by ECOWAS.
Acknowledging the efforts behind the 67th Ordinary Session, President Tinubu lauded the ECOWAS Commission, regional institutions and technical personnel for their unwavering commitment. The Nigerian leader expressed concern over the challenges facing ECOWAS and emphasized the need to uphold democratic values, ensure political stability, and drive economic progress through deeper regional cooperation, private sector empowerment, and the removal of trade barriers.
We must also embrace the digital economy as a core pillar of our integration efforts, expanding broadband access, promoting digital literacy, and building secured, interoperable platform for e-commerce and digital financial services. We enable our entrepreneurs, especially young innovators and women, to participate fully in the global economy. To make all of this a reality, we call upon our developmental partners, financial institutions, and private sectors to deepen their engagement.
In his first address as ECOWAS chairman, President Julius Maada Bio of Sierra Leone commended Tinubu for laying a solid foundation of regional dialogue, economic recovery, and peace building. He also outlined 4 key priorities and promised to lead a renewed, people-focused and action-driven ECOWAS to tackle the region's challenges and opportunities.
We must engage transitional governments constructively and support member states in building stronger democratic institutions rooted in the rule of law. Second, revitalizing regional security cooperation. We must overhaul our collective security architecture, from intelligence sharing to rapid response to confront new threats with unity and resolve.
President Biyo assumes ECOWAS leadership at a critical time, with the region focused on trade, infrastructure and security. He is expected to focus on enhancing ECOWAS's capacity to address key regional challenges, including economic recovery and security threats. Victoria Akonde, TV360 News, Lagos.
No doubt it's been a challenging tenure for President Tinubu as ECOWAS chairman, but let's get an assessment from a global affairs analyst, Fidel Amache Owusu. He joins from Accra, Ghana's capital. Thank you very much for your time. Now, Tinubu's tenure as chairman of ECOWAS was characterized by key developments from the military takeovers in Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger Republic to their exit from the regional bloc, as well as other major happenings. Now, how would you describe the Nigerian leader's performance during his two-term tenure?
Thank you for having me, madam. Firstly, I would like to say that it would be unfair to assess President Tinubu based on the current or recent regional happenings. The reason is that before he took over as president, there were already problems on the ground. Coups had started in the 2020s in Mali. In 2020, he was not president. And apart from the coups, we also had a lot of security issues in the region, like terrorism. Terrorism has been there long before he became president. So despite the fact that things escalated under his tenure, especially after the Niger coup, where ECOWAS had planned to use force to remove the Nigerian junta, in all, you would say that much of what happened was beyond his control. So currently, we have a region where it has an unprecedented schism, where 3 landlord countries with vast territories are leaving or have left. That is something that Mr. Tinubu will not be proud of. But then again, he had no control over. Apart from the security challenges and this political schism, we've also had some successes. He has encouraged the AFTA, African Continental Free Trade Agreement or area. He has also helped with to stop this arbitrary closing of borders between and among coastal West African countries. And again, even with the Sahel issue where the states are breaking away, he has encouraged negotiations. When the president of Senegal decided to lead negotiations between junta-led states and the rest of ECOWAS, he allowed it and gave his blessings. When President Mahama decided, or the current president of Ghana, decided to embark on shuttle diplomacy to engage with the military regimes, President Tinubu also supported the idea. Only that the military guys or the military government were not prepared to really hand over power. And currently, Mr. Madibio will take over. And that is what I will say about Mr. Tinubu's tenure as ECOWAS chairman.
Now, the new chairman, President Julius Maada Bio of Sierra Leone, says his leadership would focus on restoring constitutional order and deepening democracy, revitalizing regional security cooperation, unlocking economic integration, and building institutional credibility. Now, is this a tall order?
Yeah, so I'll start with the last, economic integration. That was the raison d'etre of ECOWAS. When ECOWAS was established in 1975, the goal was to ensure economic integration. so that any chairman who is elected must ensure it, and you cannot. It's non-negotiable. That is the point of ECOWAS. Now, the other thing is the other thing is with the security and negotiations. In fact, that is going to be a tall list because Sierra Leone itself has a lot of internal issues, political issues. It's one of the poorest countries in West Africa. And so he, as president, has a lot in his hands. And it's not going to be a walk in the park where he leads something and then it just works out. He has to do a lot, combine the domestic challenges in Sierra Leone with his new role as ECOWAS chairman. So I think that nothing is insurmountable. We can do a lot to even bring back the breakaway countries, but it is not going to be easy. And I feel that despite the fact that he's serving his second term and he has had the experience as president to know what is happening in the region, because when these things started, he was in power. And so I think that he has that kind of institutional memory or institutional knowledge to push this. But in terms of gravitas, as Sierra Leone as a country, Sierra Leone doesn't carry that much weight. If Mr. Tinubu is holding the chairmanship from Nigeria, that is okay. But Sierra Leone doesn't carry that much weight. Thank you.
All right, observation has definitely gone for Bio as he begins his tenure as chairman of ECOWAS. Fidel Amachi Owusu, thank you very much for speaking to us and sharing your thoughts. Meanwhile, Chairman of the ECOWAS Council of Ministers, Yusuf Tuga, has emphasized the collective responsibility shared by member states to maintain the momentum of regional integration while praising the ECOWAS Commission and all stakeholders for their role in moving the bloc forward. Speaking at the 94th Ordinary Session of the ECOWAS Council of Ministers, which ended in Abuja, the Council reaffirmed its commitment to upholding democratic principles, promoting good governance, and enhancing regional trade and integration.
Markets are a West African story, a story about trade, innovation, and the generation of wealth and opportunity. We still believe in free markets, not a free-for-all, but markets that thrive because of effective cooperation between supply and demand, regulated by accepted and acceptable parameters. Let us not forget that in 2024, West Africa exported goods valued at over 166 billion. Yet, only 8.6% of that trade remained within our borders. Imports follow the same pattern, heavily tilted toward partners outside the continent. Machinery and manufactured goods from China, India, the United States, and the European Union dominate our import flows while we continue to export and processed raw materials.
Nigeria's Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Emmanuel Ogala, has issued a bold directive to naval troops to take the battle to terrorist enclaves around Lake Chad and keep Nigeria's waterways safe. Ogala made this known during an operational visit to Maiduguri, where he also visited the naval base in Baga, Kukawa local government area, a location that has suffered repeated attacks by Boko Haram insurgents over the years. TV360's correspondent Solomon Josiah completes the report.
The operational visit by Vice Admiral Ogala comes in the wake of a recent attack on Baga Naval Base by suspected insurgents, underscoring the ongoing threat posed by terrorist groups in the region. While lauding the troops' courage and resilience in the face of adversity, the naval chief urged them to stay steadfast in their mission, assuring them of the federal government's unwavering support, assuring that additional personnel and modern equipment will soon be deployed to strengthen their operational capabilities. He reiterated that the welfare of troops remain a top priority for President Tinubu and the military high command, alongside the provision of critical operational support.
This base is one of the strategic bases for the Nigerian Navy's contribution to counter-insurgency, particularly in the Northeast. It's operating under the Theater Command but we also see it as our effort towards ensuring the safety of the waterways in Lake Chad. We have come to assess their capability and the difficulties that they are facing, particularly with regard to the recent attack by ISWAP in the base. I've also come to commend them because of the effort they put in ensuring that the enemy suffered great casualties when they came to attack, to such an extent that I think that anytime they want to attack this base, they would think twice.
The Naval Chief also visited Governor Babagana Umar Zulum to offer condolences over the Konduga bombing, which killed 12 people. He pledged intensifying military efforts to restore peace in the state.
The primary goal for establishing the base is to contribute to ensuring freedom of navigation and use of the waterways adjoining to Lake Chad, for ensure it is open to commercial activities. And similarly also to contribute to the international security operations of Borno State, and particularly to contribute to fighting insurgency and terrorist activities under the auspices of the Joint Task Force Operation Adenkai.
In his response, Governor Zulum commended the military's ongoing effort and highlighted the critical role of coordinated collaboration among all stakeholders in achieving lasting peace and defeating insurgency.
And in particular, to Baga. I cannot remember when we received the Chief of Naval Staff in Baga. This goes to show the level of commitment that he has to the noble objectives of ending insurgency in Borno State.
At the Malari Barracks Military Hospital, the Naval Chief awarded 200,000 naira each to wounded soldiers, praising their bravery and dedication.
The Armed Forces of Nigeria, particularly the Operation Adenkai here, is doing extremely very well. And that is the reason why most of the insecurity has been on the downward trend in the last few months. But all the same, we realize that there are still challenges, there are still areas that we need to improve, and we work on that, and surely we'll get better results.
Ogala emphasized the need for aggressive and sustained military action to dismantle the strongholds of insurgent groups, including Boko Haram and ISWAP, which continue to threaten national security and disrupt activities in the northern region. Solomon Josiah, TV360, Borno.
It's time for a short break. When news now returns, Syria's president breaks silence, vows justice after church attack rocks Damascus. Stay with us for details. Welcome back. Let's take you through our main stories. The death toll from Friday's attack on the wedding travelers at Mangu community in Magungu local government area of Plateau State has risen to 13. The victims, comprising 32 men, women and children, were traveling to attend a wedding ceremony in an 18-seater bus belonging to the Ahmadu Bello University in Zaria from Basawa community in Kaduna State when they ran into the assailants around 8 p.m. We also told you that Nigeria's Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Emmanuel Ogala, has issued a bold directive to naval troops to take the battle to terrorist enclaves around Lake Chad and keep Nigeria's waterways safe. Ogala made this known during an operational visit to Maiduguri, where he also visited the naval base in Baga, Kukawa local government area, a location that has suffered repeated attacks by Boko Haram insurgents over the years. In case you missed any of our news bulletins or for more updates, you can catch us on Limex World TV and AVO TV or log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram and YouTube at TV360 Nigeria or download our mobile app on Google Play Store, Huawei App Gallery and Apple Store, on Facebook or at TV360 online. Let's move over to business news. Tamilore Akinkwoliye is on standby. Over to you, Tamilore.
Thank you, Samuel, and welcome to business news. Now, President Bola Tinubu has called on West African leaders to end the practice of exporting raw minerals without processing them, urging a shift toward regional manufacturing and value addition. Speaking at the inaugural West Africa Economic Summit in Abuja over the weekend, Tinubu said the region must move away from extractive models that have historically failed to translate into economic development for its people.
West Africa is one of the last great frontiers of economic growth. Yet, opportunity alone does not guarantee transformation. Opportunity is not destiny. We must earn it through fusion, integration, policy coherence, collaboration, and capital alignment. Intra-regional trade remains under 10%, a challenge you can no longer ignore. The low trade is not due to a failure of will, but a failure of coordination. The global economy will not wait for West Africa to get its act together, nor should we. Rather than competing in isolation or rely on external partners, we must together strengthen our regional value chains, invest in infrastructure, and coordinate our policies. Our region's greatest asset is its youthful population. However, this demographic promise can quickly become a liability if not matched by investments in education, digital infrastructure, innovation, and productive enterprise.
We'll take a breather here and be back with stock market reports. Welcome back. Now, it was a positive start to the week on the Nigerian Exchange Limited as the local bourse closed in the green on Monday, buoyed by strong performances from heavyweight stocks like Presco, Better Glass, and Champion Breweries. The all-share index rose by 0.37%, pushing the market capitalization higher to 74.82 trillion naira. Now, Presco led the charge among gainers, advancing by 110 naira to close at 1,210 naira, a 10% increase as it firmly holds its position in the 1,000 naira per share league. Now, Better Glass also recorded a strong outing, climbing from 276 naira to 303 naira 60 kobo, gaining 27 naira 60 kobo or a 10% in the single session. Now, in total, investors traded over 653.6 million shares valued at over 21.3 billion naira across 22,206 deals. However, it was a different picture on the international scene. Now, global markets were largely in the red as investor sentiment took a hit from rising geopolitical tensions. Oil prices also dipped sharply after the United States launched strikes on 3 nuclear sites in Iran in what appears to be an escalation of the Israel-Iran conflict. Now, this development weighed heavily on our major foreign indices. Now, in the foreign exchange markets, the Naira continues to pressure on the black market. Is exchanged at 1,620 naira to the dollar, 2,050 naira to the British pound, and 1,720 naira to the euros. And that's it on both business and stock market report. Back to you, Simi, for the rest of the news.
Thank you, Jamila. And in other countries, Syrian authorities have announced arrests over a suicide blast targeting a church. blamed on the Islamic State group, as President Ahmed al-Shara has vowed those involved in the heinous attack will face justice. According to the Health Ministry, the shooting and suicide bombing on Sunday at St. Elias Church in the working-class Douala district of the Syrian capital killed 25 people and wounded 63. The international community has condemned the attack, the first of its kind in the Syrian capital since Islamist-led forces toppled longtime ruler Bashar al-Assad in December. And Russian President Vladimir Putin has slammed attacks on Iran as unprovoked and unjustified. In a meeting with Tehran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi, Putin did not single out the U.S. attacks, talking instead broadly of strikes against Iran, though the Kremlin had early on Monday said it condemned and regretted the U.S. strikes. The Russian leader has pitched himself as a mediator between Iran and Israel, which launched the offensive on Iran earlier this month, an idea rejected by U.S. President Donald Trump last week. And on sports, the Nigerian Fencing Federation has announced a 12-member squad for the 23rd African Fencing Championships, scheduled to take place at Charterhouse, Lagos from June 25th to 29th. The tournament will feature 12 events consisting 6 individual and 6 team events in foil, épée and sabre. National coach Ibrahim Aloba expressed confidence in the youthful team, noting their potential to surprise more experienced opponents. And a former forward for Belgium, Dries Mertens, has announced his retirement from football, with his contract at Galatasaray due to expire at the end of this month. In a video posted on social media, the 31-year-old said he will hang up his boots but will play in an exhibition match organized by his former Napoli teammate Marek Hamsik in July. Mertens is Napoli's all-time record goal scorer with 148 goals. He won 2 Italian Cups with the club before leaving for Galatasaray, where he won 3 successive Turkish Super League titles in 2022. And that's it on News Now. Many thanks for watching. We'll see you again next time.